Greetings, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to a Sowing Solo video, which I have not filmed one of these in a while. I have some very large piles beside me of all of the games that I've been playing solo recently. I forget the last one of these that I made. It might have been in like September when I last filmed like those monthly videos that I typically do, my top 10 games of the month, and then also my Sowing Solo videos. It's been a bit since I filmed them, so this is the first one back for 2025, and I'm just going to be chatting about the games that I have enjoyed recently, solo specifically. Some of these are going to be from a solo Sunday vlog that I filmed, which I will put that right here if you guys want to go and check it out. I played a bunch of solo games and filmed it for you guys. It's just a really casual series that I've started to do where I just pick some games, or actually my Patreon members, which I always have the Board Game Garden Patreon link down below if you guys are interested. But my Patreon members actually choose the games that they most want to see be played solo, and I just have a chill day where I hang out and live my life, play some games on a cozy Sunday, and then kind of share with you guys my first thoughts on them. So I have some of the games that I played in my first solo Sunday video that I quickly just wanted to give you guys a brief kind of thoughts on it, if you guys do not want to go and watch that video, because those videos are long and that kind of style of video is not for everyone. So I have all those games here that I'm going to show you guys first. I have a few other games that I have been playing solo that I've been really enjoying, specifically these four that I'm looking at right now. I did, I believe, include these in one of the like holiday recommendations videos, so I'm going to quickly go over those ones if you guys didn't watch that. And then I have a few other games that I've been playing solo that I did not, I don't think, feature anywhere. They've just been games that I've gotten to the table solo that I want to let you guys know about. So anyways, if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on a bunch of different solo games, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also, hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below any solo games that you guys have been enjoying recently, any that I should know about, that I should try. Please let me know down in the comments. But yes, without further ado, let's get into this Sowing Solo video, shall we? All right, so like I mentioned, I am going to start off with the games that I played during my first solo Sunday vlog. The first game that I wanted to chat to you guys about is one of my favorite games. This actually ended up being in my top 100 games of all time, and that is Walk and Roll. But specifically, I finally got to playing the Korean Waves expansion, or the Korean Wave, singular wave expansion. So this actually brings in some more boards that you can play with. You're playing pretty much identical to the base game, where you're going to be rolling dice like a Yahtzee style roll, and then you're going to be filling out different things on your sheets or your menus in the game. This one comes with two different menus. This one comes with two different menus. This one, the art on the menus, you guys will hopefully see in some B-roll. The art on these menus are absolutely amazing. I love the little Korean dishes on the menu. That's like one of my favorite things about this game, is I just love the art so much. It is fairly simple roll and write, but it is just very comforting, very warm. You're cooking these different Asian dishes, and it just makes me really happy. So I did end up playing the Korean Wave expansion with the Korean Wave menu, and I did play the I think it was traditional side. There's basically a traditional menu and a modern menu. The modern menu has a little bit more going on with some like tech tree kind of connected routes that you're building with your skills and stuff like that, which I haven't played that one yet, but I did do the traditional side, which is a little bit more simple, and they introduce some kimchi into it where you're collecting kimchi and you can use that kimchi to unlock different things. And it wasn't a huge difference between this base game here, but it did just offer a few small tweaks. So I will say that if you are looking to get the expansion, I will say that I don't know if it's worth it, especially if you are in Canada. This here I think was like almost $50, which is quite expensive for a expansion. It is an import, unfortunately, so they do have to like charge a little bit more than you typically would. But yeah, it just adds some more menus, and I don't know if adding more menus is $50 worth. So I would say if you have the base game, you're good. I really enjoy the base game. And if you are really wanting some additional menus and kind of some small changes, then I would definitely recommend the Korean Wave expansion. This game here has become one of like my comfort games and I really enjoy it. So yes, that is the walk and roll with the Korean Wave expansion. All right, so the next two I think were some of my favorites, and then another one that I'll talk about later. But the next two were definitely some of my favorites when it came to the games that I played during this Solo Sunday vlog. The first one that I wanted to chat about, and I'm so happy that I finally played this game because it is fantastic, and this is definitely one that I recommend if you enjoy deduction games. So this right here is Black Sonata. This is published by Sideroom Games, and this is a solo only hidden movement deduction game where you are trying to find Shakespeare's Dark Lady. I think that's what you're trying to do. So if you haven't seen the Solo Sunday vlog yet, this was one of the ones that I just fell in love with and really enjoyed. I've played it a few times since that Solo Sunday vlog, and this is probably the one that I featured most in the Solo Sunday vlog. I kept in most of my talking and stuff through the first few turns of this game because I thought it was really intriguing to watch. It's a very cool game, and the mechanics in this game and just how they design this game are just so cool, and I cannot wrap my head around how they went about designing this and figuring out how to make a solo only hidden movement deduction game. I just thought it was so cool. You're trying to figure out where this hidden lady is in this town, and she's doing this hidden movement, and then based off of some icons that come up on cards, you're deducing where she is, and then you're trying to go to where she is and then search for her. If you successfully search for her, you get another card that's going to help you kind of deduce the information that you're trying to figure out for the Dark Lady, and it is just so cool. I can't get over it. I am so excited to play this more. I have recently found out that they do have an expansion that they had up on crowdfunding that I did not know about until I played this like a month ago. So yeah, I'm really sad that I didn't back that, but Black Sonata, I know why it is so hyped in the solo gaming community because it is absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed it. That is Black Sonata. All right, and then the next one is another one that I very much enjoyed during my Solo Sunday vlog, and this one really surprised me because this is a trick-taking game, and solo trick-taking games are definitely becoming more of a thing, but they're still not like super like you don't see a lot of them. So I was really surprised when this solo trick-taking game worked really well. But that game is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. This is by Office Dog Games, and I did get this at PAX Unplugged, and oh my goodness, love this so much solo. If you are looking for a solo trick-taking game, please check this one out. This one and For Northwood are some of my favorite trick-taking games now. I just love the fact that they can play solo, and obviously For Northwood is just solo, but this one being able to play both cooperatively as well as solo I think is so cool. And yeah, I have just loved this one. I played this for the first time during that vlog, and then I have played it once since, and actually on the vlog I was like, should I continue playing this like on the vlog, but I decided not to, and I played it a few days later, and I played through a few chapters. But yeah, there are 18 different chapters in this, and you're going through the story of the Lord of the Rings. I believe the entire first movie. I could be wrong, but I believe there are maybe some more of these coming out, continuing on that story. But yeah, I've loved this one. Definitely recommend if you are a solo player to check this one out. Yeah, it's great. All right, moving on to the next one. This was a game that I enjoyed. I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as the other two that I just talked about, but it's a very fun, cute, I love the art and the look of it. It's like a very cute puzzly game, but the game that I'm talking about is Flower Fields. So this is a drafting polyomino game where you're placing polyomino tiles onto a board. You're trying to create different groups of these different colors, and then you're trying to place these bees onto these different groups in order to be a multiplier for those groups of bees. And I can see this one being a very nice, just like chill, relaxing game to play with tea, and I am always open to having more of those games in my collection because that's just the type of solo game that I really enjoy. Like I said, I didn't enjoy it as much as the Lord of the Rings trick-taking game as well as Black Sonata, but I still enjoyed it, and I'm really happy that I do have it in my collection as, like I said, one of those very like cozy, comforting solo games to play. So that is Flower Fields. Next game here is actually from the same publisher as Flower Fields, which is Horrible Guild. And this one, I honestly am obsessed with the look of this game. This is probably one of my favorite looking games. If I ever make a video on like my favorite kind of board game aesthetics, this would be one of them in that list because I just love the way that the game looks. I love the way that the art is. This like art here is just absolutely beautiful, and the art on the cards are beautiful. But onto the actual gameplay of this one, I really enjoyed this one. Again, this one is a very like puzzly. You are drafting these cards that then are going to allow you to do different actions, and you're going to be able to do those different actions in specific terrain spots on your map or your earth, and you're trying to get as many victory points as possible based off of, at the end of each round. Each round is going to have a certain amount of turns where you are drafting, and at the end of that round, you're going to calculate your score based off of your tree placements and also where the sun is coming from. So I do think that a lot of people compared this to photosynthesis. I've never played photosynthesis before. That's a really hard word for me to say, but I really enjoyed this one, and I do really want to play this multiplayer because I feel like it would play really well multiplayer. There's not like a lot of like player interaction. The most player interaction will be with the drafting of those cards, and then everyone's just doing the actions on their board. I do think that this plays really well solo, and I will say that when I was playing this on the Solo Sunday vlog, I played it wrong with the like skull cards. I thought that skull cards, if it ended up going into the fertility area, which I'm not gonna super explain that, but if a skull card went into the fertility, I thought that it got rid of all the color that skull card was, but turns out that it just gets rid of one card that was previously placed in that color. So I was making it a little bit harder on myself. So once I ended up playing this with the correct rules and got a way better score, it made me feel a lot better. So huge shout out to the person that commented in the comment section about me playing that wrong, because I did not realize that. But yes, Evergreen is absolutely beautiful. Again, a very puzzly game where you're just trying to get as many points by puzzling out the different trees and the different actions that you draft. So definitely recommend it if you enjoy that type of game. Solo mode is really great, and I'm excited to play this more. So that is Evergreen. I also have the, what is it called? Evergreen and Cacti, or Cacti and Evergreen expansion that I would love to play, that just brings in a few modules that you can add into the game. So yes, that is Evergreen. All right, and then lastly for that Solo Sunday vlog, I played this at the end of the night, and I have played a few more times since then this game. I do think one of my main goals for board games in 2025 is to play through complete campaign game, whether that is a solo campaign game or a bigger multiplayer campaign game. I really just want to play through an entire campaign game without like stopping. I have a few campaign games that I've started, but I haven't ended them. So this one I feel like might be one of the campaign games that I can finish myself. But that game that I'm talking about is Dorf, Romantik, Sakura, which this is such a wonderful game. And the funny thing is that I have played the other just Dorf Romantik, the board game, but I only played it multiplayer. And this game, honestly, I think should just be a solo game, which makes sense because the video game is a solo game where you're just taking the tiles and placing them out. And I think it just put not a sour taste in my mouth, because I still enjoyed the experience of playing this multiplayer, but it just wasn't as fun as it is solo, because in the multiplayer game, you're still doing the same thing, but everyone's just kind of in on the decision. So you're trying to make decisions of where to place these tiles based off of what everyone's saying. Whereas if you're playing it solo, you're just doing it for yourself. And it's just this really nice kind of relaxing kind of puzzle, which again, a few of these other games have been that, but there's just something about this game that is so satisfying. You're just picking up a tile and then placing it out, trying to complete these different objectives that then once you've completed one objective, you're going to place another objective tile out. You always have 3 objective tiles that you're going for, and they're basically going to be that you need to make a group of this certain thing that is this many tiles big. So it would be like a road that is 6 tiles long. And then once you've completed that by placing out tiles, you take that off. That's going to get you victory points at the end. And then you're going to take or put out a new objective tile. And you're going to continue this. There's a few other things that are going to be added in. And then obviously as you go through the game, you have different boxes that you're opening. I've opened 1 box so far, and you're just bringing in more and more ways that you score. And then the higher and higher scores that you end each game with, the more that you can move on these different paths and then kind of progress more through the game, open more boxes and different things. So I'm really, really excited for this one to complete it. This will, if any other campaign games don't get finished, if I can finish this one by the end of 2025, I will be very, very happy. So yes, that is Dorf Romantik Sakura. Definitely recommend if you have wanted a really nice, tranquil, relaxing solo campaign game that doesn't seem very scary. Like, I feel like I can finish this by the end of 2025 and I'm going to be so happy, and it's just very approachable and I love that. So I definitely recommend Dorf Romantik Sakura. All right, moving on to a few other games that I think I've mentioned in some other videos, but if you haven't seen those videos, then I'm going to mention them here. The first one that I wanted to mention is this right here. This is FateFlip Washed Ashore, or FateFlip Washed Ashore. And this is actually a little bit of a campaign game as well, so I might actually be finishing this one in 2025 as well. But this is a solo plus game. You can play this with more players, but much like Dorf Romantik Sakura, you're kind of just making decisions as a group. But this one I feel like is so immersive. You're going through this story of washing ashore this island by yourself, and you're trying to gather resources, and you're trying to avoid dangerous situations, and you know, build a shelter and all the things that you would do if you washed ashore a island. But yeah, you're going through the story with these different cards, and then as you're making different decisions, you're flipping the cards either long side or short side, if that makes sense. And then you're like adding different cards in, you're gaining and spending your different resources, which you keep track of on a card with these little paper clips that you put on the side. So you have like the danger that you're in kind of thing at the top, a little track at the top, and then you have your food and your energy, and you're kind of trying to juggle those and to get through the story. And I've just been having so much fun with it, and I've made a friend with a monkey, I've built a shelter, everything is going great. So I'm excited to continue this one. And again, it is an approachable solo campaign game that I feel like I'm confident that I'll be able to finish myself in 2025. So yeah, that is FateFlip Washed Ashore, which I will say that I saw that there was another one coming out. I forget what it's called, but maybe if I remember, I'll put the picture here. I think it's coming out in 2025. It's just the same kind of game system, but it's a different theme. But this is from Alley Cat Games. I don't know if Alley Cat Games is going to be publishing it, because this is actually published originally by Red Cat, and then Alley Cat Games has distributed it in North America, possibly. But yes, excited for that one, and I'm excited to play this one more. So yes, if you're looking for a very travel-friendly, approachable, little story-driven campaign game, I definitely recommend this one. All right, moving on to a pretty different game for me. This is a like puzzle game, like full-on puzzle game, and this is the first of this kind of type of game. So if you think of puzzle game, kind of like the Exit series kind of games, any of the games from this publisher, which is Post Curious, but the game that I'm talking about is The Light in the Mist, which this is a puzzle game that you are going through within a tarot card deck. So I do think that I've chatted about this on another video, but this is a game for 1 to 4 players. Again, I do believe when you're playing it multiplayer, it's just, you know, all the decisions together kind of thing. But basically you're playing through the major arcanas, and the minor arcanas are going to kind of help you with each of those major arcanas. So each major arcana will tell you which minor arcana you need for that puzzle, and then you're going to get those cards out of the deck, and you're going to try to figure out the puzzle for that major arcana card. I've gone through a few of them, and I'm super excited to continue it. You are going through a story as well, so it's very immersive, and it's very, very cool, and it is just so beautiful. If you guys see these cards, oh, they're just stunning. I do believe that I've taken some B-roll of this one, so I will put it up on the screen so you guys can see just how beautiful this game is. Definitely recommend. Like I said, this is from Post Curious. They also have a game called The Emerald Flame, which I do think that you can play that one solo as well. So I'm kind of interested in grabbing that one and playing through that as well if I can finish this one. I don't know if you would consider this like a campaign game, but if I can get through all of the puzzles, I would consider this another completed campaign game for myself. But yes, that is The Light in the Mist. All right, moving on to another little small box. I feel like I've just been into like small box solo puzzly campaign games, I guess, because this is another technically campaign game, or I guess legacy game that I've been playing, and I've really enjoyed this one as well, and I think I've mentioned this on a video too, but that game is Kingdom Legacy. So this is a card-only legacy game where you are going to be going through all of these cards. It is definitely more like game driven or mechanism driven than FateFlip Watched Ashore. That one is more so a story and you are reading a lot more, whereas this one you are placing cards onto the table and then you're going to be using cards. It's like multi-use cards, so you're going to be using cards as resources in order to flip cards and kind of build these different cards and kind of upgrade these different cards. And then eventually, I haven't gotten there yet, but there's going to be like different cards that you're going to be taking out of the game. You're going to be putting stickers on cards, improving cards in different ways. And I'm really excited to get through more of this. I've played it, I think 4 or 5 times now, and I just think this is such a cool game. If you guys have played Palm Island before, that is kind of similar to this, where you are using cards in different ways for their resources in order to upgrade other cards. In Palm Island, you are actually playing it within your hand, and then if you are using a card for its resource, you then like flip it over and then you put it to the back. I forget exactly how it works, but you're using the resources and using everything or holding everything in your hand. Whereas this one, you are each round going to be putting out a bunch of cards, using cards, upgrading cards, putting them in the discard pile, putting out more cards, and then adding more and more cards. There's going to be different enemies that you're going to be defeating and stuff like that. So it's very cool. Recommend checking it out if it sounds like something you would enjoy. This one is from Fricks Games, and I do believe that they have more of this kind of series coming out in the future. And I do think that there is an expansion for Kingdom Legacy as well that I have seen on Board Game Bliss that I am quite interested in. So that is Kingdom Legacy. And lastly, for the games that I do think that I've featured on the channel before, I've definitely featured this one because this is my recent like comfort game obsession. I don't know what it is with this game. I enjoy it so much. I've played this both multiplayer and solo, but I do think that I enjoy it mostly solo. I just think it's so satisfying. But the game that I'm talking about is Rivages or Rivages. Again, don't know how to say it, but I will never know. I don't know why I'm singing. Anyways, this is published by Ketchup Games, so that is the same people that have brought you Far Away and Courtesans and Castle Combo and what other games have they made? Mind Up. They've made a ton of really great games, but Rivages is from Ketchup Games, and this one is very different from all of their other games. This is a flip and write or draft and write, where you are exploring these different islands, and everyone's going to start with a different island. If you're playing solo, you're just gonna have some islands that you go through, but you're gonna start with an island. You're gonna choose which kind of starting point you want to start at, and then you're going to be picking up 2 cards and then deciding the top lines of both of them are going to be your choices, and you're going to choose which one you want to kind of fill into your map, and each of them are going to have a certain amount. It could be 3 or 4 different kind of terrain colors that you're going to be filling in your map, and then you're going to have different objectives for each of these islands that you're going to have to achieve. You don't necessarily have to achieve all of them, but you're going to try to be achieving these different objectives to get victory points or scrolls, and eventually once you get to the exit, so there's an entrance and an exit, you are going to get to that exit, and then you can discard that island, and then you can get a new island, and then that new island is going to have different objectives that you're going to be going and grabbing and completing, and then once you're finished that island, you can go on to another island, and every island is just a different shape and different terrain and different objectives that you're going for, and it's just so satisfying. It's a very simple game. You're just choosing which card you want to use. Basically, in the solo game, once you have used up, you have like I think it's like a pile of 20 cards. I could be wrong, but you have, or no, it's definitely not 20 cards. I think it's like 8 or 10 cards. And basically every time that you have 2 cards, you choose one, you cross that off, you take those 2 cards and put them into the discard pile. And once your draw pile is out, you're going to take all of the cards that you have in your discard pile, shuffle those up again, and then you're going to again pick up 2 or draw 2 and then decide which card line you want to do. If a card already has the top line crossed out, you're going to have to do the second line or the topmost line of the other card, and then once you've done that, you discard those. And then basically each card has 3 lines. Once I think it's like 4 or 5 cards are totally used up and don't have any more lines to choose, that's going to be the end of the game. And then you have some objectives that you can go for, and you have to successfully achieve, I think it's 26 victory points in order to win the game. So yes, anyways, I'm done chatting about Rivages. I really enjoyed this one. It is absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a comfort game, a very satisfying solo game, then definitely check it out. Very fun. That's Rivages or Rivages. All right, so moving on to the last 4 games. So these are all games that I didn't really feature in any videos yet. One of them was a solo game that I played on a live stream, which I guess I'll talk about that one first since you guys already know about this one if you saw me live stream it. But this was one of my most anticipated games of 2024, and that is Creature Caravan. Oh, I love this so much. I do think, I will say this right now, I do think this is a game that I will personally play solo more than I do multiplayer, because this is a simultaneous play game. I played this multiplayer, and I will say that I didn't love it multiplayer. I absolutely loved it solo, and I think it is a great engine builder, tableau builder that I am so excited to play more and more. But playing it multiplayer, I felt like it was just all of us playing a solo game at the same table. There's not a lot of player interaction. The only player interaction that you have is with the Ember zombies as well as the market. And most of the time with that, you're not even interacting in the like face-to-face kind of way. You're more so just interacting where you're like placing a cube and then someone else is placing a cube there. So I do like simultaneous play games. I've enjoyed like Seven Wonders and Raising Robots, but those ones have a little bit more player interaction. So I'm interested to know if Ryan Lockett has any plans of bringing some expansions out for Creature Caravan that brings in more of that player interaction with the multiplayer game. I don't want to talk too much about it multiplayer because this is a solo focused video, but I will say this plays absolutely amazing solo. I recommend it very, very much. If you guys want to see a playthrough of the solo mode, I do have a playthrough of it on the channel. I did a live stream of it. It is pretty long, but I would recommend, you know, watching a little bit of it just to see a few turns. Like I said, it is a engine tableau builder with dice worker placement, and you're building out this tableau and gaining all of these different cards and placing them into your caravan in order to give yourself more dice worker placement spots and building this engine. And there's also a little bit of like a race, or not really a race, but you're traveling from one end of the map to the other in your little caravan. So a lot of your cards are going to give you like movement worker placement spots, where if you place a die there, it's going to allow you to move onto a specific type of terrain. And the kind of further down the line that you get, or the closer to what was it called, Eastray, that is the like final town. If you get all the way to the end, you get, I think it's like 30 victory points. Whereas if you didn't get all the way to the end, you get 1 victory point for every kind of column you travel to the east. But yeah, you're just traveling through and collecting all of these different creatures and putting them into your tableau, and I just think it is absolutely fantastic solo, so I'm excited to play this more. That is Creature Caravan. All right, so moving on to the games that I kind of just played in my free time and I haven't actually featured here on the channel yet. The first one is a game that is in like the deduction category, which if you guys do not know, for the Board Game Garden, this will be my 3rd year doing it, but for the last 2 years, so 2023 and 2024, I've done this Board Game Garden solo focus challenge thing. The first year we started out with doing a specific game every single month that everyone focused on playing. I switched that up from that year to doing a 1-word prompt for all of 2024. And then for 2025, I've decided to focus on a different mechanism each month. And January is deduction, specifically logical deduction, because it is a solo focus and you can't play social deduction games solo, as far as I know. But this was one that I really wanted to play for this month, and focusing on deduction games, this was one that I was really excited about. So the game that I'm talking about is Kronologic Paris 1920. So this is the first in, I believe it's going to be a trilogy. I think there's another one coming out in 2025, which is Kronologic Cuzco. I could be wrong. There might be a year on it, but it is a green box, which I'm really looking forward to. But this one here is focused on Paris 1920, and specifically the Phantom of the Opera, which I think is really cool. And this is a deduction game, kind of gives me similar vibes to Awkward Guess, which is one of my favorite deduction games, which reminds me, I really need to try Awkward Guess solo, because I didn't know Awkward Guess had a solo mode, but I need to try that solo before the end of January. But yes, this one can play 1 to 4 players, so you can play this multiplayer. The only change with playing this solo is that when you do the information, so basically you're going to be figuring out information about these people in the Phantom of the Opera, and you are trying to figure out who killed a specific character, and you're going to be finding out information about the different rooms and who are in those rooms at specific times, and you're trying to figure out, or you're trying to find the time when the victim was in a room with one other person, and that person is the person that killed that victim. But you're trying to figure out different information about the characters, and then also different information about the time slots. So in the first few that I had, there were 6 different time slots. But I don't know about the other ones because there's a bunch of different cases that you can go for or go through. But this one that I'm on right now is the easiest one, and it has a few different scenarios. But the only difference is with the multiplayer game, there's going to be 2 sets of information that someone finds out on their turn, and they are keeping one set of information secret, and then they are kind of sharing another piece of information with all of the other players. And then in the solo game, you obviously just get all of the information, both of the pieces of information, but you have a specific kind of time that you are going to, or I guess it's not a specific time that you are getting, but the less turns that you take to figure it out, the better you're going to do during that scenario. So yes, I will say the first few I did not do great, but the deduction is very satisfying. I had a lot of fun with this, and I'm excited to play it more. I'm excited to play through all of these scenarios. Again, I don't know if this could be considered a campaign game, but I guess more of a scenario-driven game. But if I get through all the scenarios of this, I can then check this off of a completed solo campaign game, right? Right? So yeah, anyways, very, very fun. Recommend it. I found it to be kind of a mix of Awkward Guess and a little bit of Black Sonata in a way. So yeah, really, really fun. Definitely recommend checking it out if you are interested in logical deduction or logic deduction, especially for solo. I think it's really great. That is Kronologic Paris 1920. All right, moving on to the second to last game. This was a game that I have been meaning to play for so long because I knew I was going to enjoy it. It is part of a roll and write series, specifically the, oh frick, I forget what it's called. The Loaded Roll and Write series by Motor City Gameworks. as well as 25th Century games. But that is French Quarter. So I was very interested in seeing if I enjoyed this one, because in the series you have Fleet the Dice game, which I love. Francis also loves Fleet the Dice game. There is Three Sisters, which is one of my favorite roll and writes. There's also Motor City, which was okay. I still have it in the collection. I enjoyed it, but I don't think that I enjoyed it as much as I did Three Sisters and Fleet the Dice game. But I really wanted to try this one because I love the look of it, I love the theme of it, and the slight differences in mechanisms with this one I was really intrigued with. So this is French Quarter. Again, you have 2 sheets that you're working with, and this one's very interesting because you're going to have a line of cards, and then you're going to roll dice, and the color of the dice matches the color of the cards, and then you're going to put the dice color that was rolled with the matching card. So once you have done that, you're going to, on your turn, each player is going to get a turn. In the solo game, you're just playing against an AI, and based off of the round, I believe, or possibly the card that is flipped for the solo AI, that's going to determine whether the AI goes first or you go first. The AI has a specific card that's going to tell you which one they're going to take first. If that's already taken, they'll take the next one, so on and so forth. But you are drafting a die, and then that die is going to determine a number that you're going to be placing into a building. Basically, buildings cannot be beside, or they have to be beside a number that's the same or one off. So it has to be one higher, one lower, or the same number. And you're trying to complete different buildings and different streets and stuff, because each of the streets are connected to a track that you're going to be going up. And then based off of how high you are on the track, that's going to multiply the number or victory points that you're going to get for each of the different streets. And then also you have kind of a route that you're building within the streets that you're going to get more and more victory points at the end of each round. There's a lot going on. It is a loaded roll and write, but I will say right now that I did enjoy this one very, very much. I still don't know if I enjoy this as much as Three Sisters. I love Three Sisters. I need to play this one more to figure that out. But I really loved what they did with this one. It's very fun. It's very satisfying. You're getting like different abilities and stuff as you go up these tracks. The one thing that I did notice though, it was really difficult to get there's like this performer area, which I did not do well with. Overall, I didn't do well in my first game of this one, and that's why I want to play it more. But the performers seemed really, really difficult to get, and you're trying to get as many different types of performers as possible, and they're all over the map, and it's kind of hard to get to them. So that was the one thing that I did really bad with, but overall, really enjoyed it. I'm happy to say that I definitely enjoyed it more than Motor City. I will say right now, for my ranking for the loaded roll and writes from Motor City Gameworks, my favorite is still Three Sisters. I think second would still have to be Fleet the Dice game, third French Quarter, and then fourth Motor City. But French Quarter could definitely go above Fleet the Dice game if I get in some more plays. The nice thing about Fleet the Dice game is that I can play it multiplayer because Francis really enjoys it. So I don't know if he would want to play French Quarter. I could ask him if he would want to play it. But he really enjoys games that he just already knows. He doesn't love learning new games. So it's really nice to be able to have games that he will play and be open to playing. So yes. Anyways, that is French Quarter. Really enjoyed it. Happy to say that. But yeah, definitely recommend. All right, and lastly, this game, it's actually been a little bit since I've played this one. This one I probably played back in like November. Could be wrong, it might actually have been before that. I did live stream this one, and then I played it a few times after at the end of 2024, so I don't know if it was November or October. But the game that I'm talking about is Tir Na Nóg. So this, I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but this is from Grand Gamers Guild, and I loved this one. Actually, have I talked about this one already? I don't know if I have, but if I have, apologies. If you've already heard me talk about it, then maybe just skip this, but I don't think I've talked about it yet. But this can be played 1 to 5 players, and I really enjoyed this. It's quite an interesting game. I really still want to play this multiplayer. Maybe I'll ask my friends. I'm getting together with my friends this weekend to play some games, and maybe I'll ask them if we can play Tir Na Nóg multiplayer, because It plays in 30 to 45 minutes, which is great. But I think that this has a very interesting gameplay to it. First, you're going to be drafting these cards to be placed into a tableau, and your tableau is going to be 3 different rows of, I believe it's 5 cards, and each of the different rows are going to have rules for the different cards and the different numbers and colors that you're going to be placing into those rows. So it is a card drafting puzzle tableau building game, which is really cool. And then you're also additionally trying to get groups of the same colors kind of together within that tableau. And in the solo game, you're going against an AI that's basically just going to be taking cards from you, and you're going to be competing against them for the majority of colors in the different categories. But the drafting is really cool because you're going to be placing a little worker onto a kind of line between 2 cards, and once it is your turn to draft, if those 2 cards are still there that your worker is touching, you can actually choose between the 2. Obviously, if someone has already drafted one of them because they're on one of the other kind of borders of that card, then the other card is going to be the one that you are going to take. But you have 2 different workers you're going to be placing out. That could be 3. I could be remembering incorrectly, but you're going to be getting cards, and then those cards are going to be placed into your tableau based off of your different rules for the different rows and how they're going to score. And then once everyone has completed their tableau, the person with the most victory points is going to win. And I just think it's so cool. There's a bunch of different kind of row scoring cards that you can choose from, and all of the cards are absolutely beautiful. And there's cards that give you different abilities that then you're allowed to kind of change and mitigate other cards. And I think it's so cool and so unique. And I'm often trying to find games like that where it brings in something unique that I haven't seen before, because once you start playing a lot of games, you realize that a lot of games have similarities and it kind of just gets stale over time. So finding these games that do something different is really cool. So yes, definitely recommend Tir Na Nóg. I do think that they had a crowdfunding campaign for this one. I found like one of the last copies on, I think it was Board Game Bliss. I really wanted it at, I think it was Gen Con, but they ended up selling out quite a few times and I wasn't able to get a copy. So I ended up grabbing it from Board Game Bliss, I'm pretty sure. Or it could have been 401 Games as well. But now I do believe that it is pretty much sold out everywhere, and that's why they did the crowdfunding campaign for it. I'm not sure if the late pledges are open anymore, but I recommend this one for sure. It is very fun, very satisfying, and a lot of fun solo. And then I will let you guys know if it's fun multiplayer. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for this sewing solo video. I do think this one's going to be a little bit longer than the others just because I had so many games to tell you guys about and chat to you guys about. It's also been a long time since I've like sat here and chatted about games that I've been enjoying. So thank you guys so much for spending time with me today, hanging out. Please let me know any solo games that you guys have been enjoying down in the comments. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. I have a bunch of really exciting videos coming up in February. I have all of my top games of 2024 videos planned for February, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.